Agatha,
Who's been messing up everything?
the covenless witch.
It's been Agatha all along.
No. What really happened to you?
Welcome to Mr. Screen, the liberation of Agatha Harkness. After Wanda Maximoff's defeat at the hands of Doctor Strange and the subsequent death of the Scarlet Witch, the world thought that chaos had been controlled. However, in the deep silence of the mystical prison created by Wanda in Westview, another force was awakening. Agatha Harkness, previously imprisoned and without her memories, began to slowly free herself from the spell that kept her subjugated. The process of liberation was long and painful. Wanda's magic was powerful, and the control over Agatha seemed impossible to break. But with the death of the Scarlet Witch, the chaotic energies that permeated the spell began to dissipate, weakening the bonds that held Agatha captive. One night, under the light of an ominous red moon, Agatha finally broke her magical chains and freed herself. What happened? Agatha whispered, confused and disoriented. Memories of her last moments with Wanda came flooding back to her in disturbing flashes. She remembered how she had underestimated the Scarlet Witch. Our plan to steal Wanda's power had failed miserably. Yet now she was free, and with an unsettling feeling that something far worse was about to happen. Wasting no time, Agatha retreated to her ancient sanctuary, filled with mystical tomes and ancient artifacts. There was an urgency in the air, as if the very fabric of reality itself was on the verge of collapse. Agatha sensed that there was something she needed to understand, something that had yet to be fully revealed. That was when her eyes fell upon the darkest book of all, the Darkhold. The Darkhold and the prophecy. As she leafed through the Darkhold's macabre pages, Agatha felt the familiar dark energy emanating from the book. The words in an ancient language pulsed with a dark force, and she knew she was getting closer to the truth. Then, in a central page, she read something that made her stop in her tracks. The prophecy spoke of the return of a great destroyer, one who would be resurrected from the ashes to bring doomsday upon all creation. This being was none other than Tony Stark, Iron Man, who, in alternate future, would be brought back to life, but in a twisted form. He would not return as the hero everyone knew, but as a twisted fusion of his technological genius and the arcane power of Victor Von Doom, becoming the new Doctor Doom. The Scarlet Witch started it, Agatha said, reciting the words of the prophecy aloud. Her power has begun the resurrection of Stark, but he will not be the Stark we know. He will be a corrupted version, one who will bring about the end of all things. Dread settled over Agatha. She knew that Tony Stark was one of the greatest minds of his time, but combined with the power of doom and chaos magic, he would be unstoppable, a threat without precedent. The prophecy also spoke of a great war, a battle that would destroy not only this world, but all alternate realities. Agatha knew she could not fight this threat alone. If she tried, she would be crushed like a fly. So she decided her only hope was to seek help. And to face something of this magnitude, she would need the greatest genius the world had ever known, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. In search of the Fantastic Four. Knowing there was no time to waste, Agatha made quick preparations. She used her magic to open a portal directly to the Baxter Building, the headquarters of the Fantastic Four. As soon as she stepped through the portal, she was greeted by the security force field that surrounded the building. Clearly, Agatha's sudden arrival was not something she had expected, and it set off alarm bells. Within seconds, Reed Richards, accompanied by Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm, appeared to confront the intruder. They were ready for any threat, but they hesitated when they saw Agatha. She looked desperate, not aggressive. "What are you doing here?" Reed asked, his voice cautious. "You're Agatha Harkness, aren't you? Shouldn't you be neutralized?" Agatha held up her hands in surrender, not intending to fight. "I'm not here to cause trouble. In fact, I'm here because if we don't do something now, the world, all realities, will be doomed. I need your help, Reed. You're the only one who can stop the end." Sue stepped forward, studying Agatha's expression. "What are you talking about?" "The end of what?" Agatha quickly explained a prophecy in the Darkhold, Tony Stark's return as Doctor Doom, and the impending apocalypse that would follow. As she spoke, the faces of the Fantastic Four members grew increasingly grim. "Tony Stark as Doctor Doom?" Reed murmured, absorbing the information. "That's unimaginable. But coming from the Darkhold, it's not impossible." He'll be a fusion of Stark's genius and Doom's evil power, Agatha continued. And once he returns, there'll be nothing we can do to stop him unless we prepare now. So what do you suggest? Johnny Storm asked, visibly uneasy. How do we stop a Stark Doom before he even shows up? We need to stop his own resurrection, Agatha said. The spell was initiated by Wanda before she died, but there is still time to undo it. I cannot do it alone. I need all of you, especially you, Reed. Only someone with your intelligence can find a way to reverse the process. Reed was silent for a moment, weighing the weight of the situation. He knew that facing something like this would require more than just power and intelligence. They would be dealing with forces beyond human comprehension. If what you are saying is true, Reed said finally, we have no other choice. We will do this. The race against time with the Fantastic Four at her side, Agatha began to prepare the ritual to locate the core of the spell that would bring Tony Stark back. They needed to act quickly, for the resurrection was in progress, and every second brought them closer to Doomsday. The plan was complex. Reed Richards, with his brilliant mind, had developed a way to use the advanced technology of the Baxter Building to track the mystical energies that connected the spell to reality. By combining Reed's scientific knowledge with Agatha's magical powers, they created a device capable of stopping the resurrection, but only if they could reach the exact location where the spell was being performed. The energy is coming from somewhere in Eastern Europe, Reed said, pointing to the holographic map. Probably near Sokovia, where Wanda's magic was strongest. That makes sense, Agatha said. Sokovia was where Wanda began to lose control over the chaos. It's where her connection to the Darkhold was strongest. Then let's go there, declared Ben Grimm, ready for action. The Fantastic Four, accompanied by Agatha, set off for Sokovia in their high-speed jet. The tension grew with every mile they got closer, for they knew that time was short. If they failed, Tony Stark's resurrection as Doctor Doom would become irreversible, and the world as they knew it would be doomed. The battle for Sokovia. When they arrived at the scene, they realized that the spell was already in its final stages. In the heart of a magic-ravaged mountain, a circle of runes glowed, chaotic energy flowing around it. It was a sight both terrifying and mesmerizing. We have to stop this now, Sue shouted, erecting a force field to shield the team from the unstable energy waves. Agatha began to cast the counterspell, her hands glowing with purple and black energy. Reed activated the device they had created, which began to channel mystical energy to contain the process. But as they approached the circle, something unexpected happened. A figure emerged from the shadows, a being who looked like a cross between Tony Stark and Victor Von Doom, but with a darker, more menacing presence. His eyes glowed with an evil green light, and his armor was a fusion of Stark's technology and Doom's mystique. You are fools, he said, his voice resonating with power. Nothing can stop me now. I am the future. I am Doctor Doom. The final fight. The ensuing battle was epic. Agatha used all her magic to try to contain the creature that Stark had become, while the Fantastic Four fought with all their might. Reed used his elasticity to avoid the devastating attacks, while Sue used her force fields to protect her allies. Johnny Storm, on fire, threw himself at Doom, and Ben Grimm attacked with his brute strength. But nothing seemed to be enough. The fusion of Tony Stark and Doom was too powerful. His intelligence, combined with arcane power, made him practically invincible. Reed, however, had noticed something. As they fought, he noticed that Doom's connection to the spell was still vulnerable. If they could break the source of the energy, they could perhaps reverse the process. Agatha, Reed shouted, focus on the circle. Break the connection. Agatha, exhausted, nodded and turned her attention to the circle of runes. With one last effort, she cast a disruption spell, and the runes began to crumble. Doom roared in rage as he realized what was happening. No, he screamed, trying to stop Agatha. But it was too late. With one last blast of magic, Agatha broke the spell. The energy that powered Doom began to fade, and he fell to his knees, weakened. Reed and the others seized the opportunity to deliver a final strike, destroying the armor and dissipating Doom's power. What was left of Tony Stark crumpled to the ground, a shadow of the man he once was. Doomsday had been averted. Aftermath. After the battle, the Fantastic Four and Agatha were reunited. They had saved the world, but at an immense cost. The Darkhold prophecy had been stopped, but the threat of dark powers still loomed over the multiverse. This isn't over, Agatha said, looking toward the horizon. There are forces out there beyond our comprehension. If we're not careful, something like this could happen again. Reed nodded. We have to be prepared. The multiverse is vast, and the threats are ever-growing. As Agatha prepared to leave, she looked at Reed and the rest of the group with a rare smile of gratitude. Thank you. Without you, the world would be lost. And with that, she disappeared in a swirl of magic, leaving the Fantastic Four to reflect on what they had faced and what was yet to come. The world had been saved, but the future was far from safe. Agatha's revelation. After the battle in Sokovia and the temporary defeat of the fusion between Tony Stark and Doom, Agatha Harkness left, but not without leaving one last warning. There was something in the air, an unsettling feeling that what they faced was only the beginning. Reed Richards felt the same. He knew something was still wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. Days passed, and the Fantastic Four team was back at the Baxter Building, trying to assess the damage and reflect on what they had learned from the confrontation. However, while Reed was immersed in his research, an unexpected visitor occurred. Agatha Harkness, once again, stepped through a portal in the middle of Reed's laboratory. Reed, Agatha said in a somber tone, there is something you need to know. Reed looked up, surprised by her sudden return. I thought we had solved the problem, he began to say, but stopped when he saw Agatha's worried expression. You don't understand, Reed. What we faced is just a manifestation, a consequence of something much larger. Reality has been altered by Wanda Maximoff in ways that even I didn't fully understand, until now. Agatha stepped closer, placing a hand on the Darkhold she brought with her. When Wanda altered reality, she didn't just play with the fabric of our timeline. Her actions created ramifications in other realities, other dimensions. And in one of those realities, the real Victor Von Doom, the original Doctor Doom, has already taken possession of Tony Stark's body. What we've seen here is just a shadow of what's to come. Reed fell silent, processing the revelation. You're saying that in another timeline. Doom has already won. Yes, Agatha said. And he's not just an enemy in this timeline. Now that he's merged his power with Stark's technological genius, he's preparing to cross realities. He's coming here, and when he does, he'll be unstoppable. Judgment Day is about to begin. The return of Doom. Weeks had passed since Agatha's warning, and the Fantastic Four remained on high alert. Reed was obsessed with the idea that Doom could appear at any moment. He monitored energy and temporal fluctuations in various parts of the world, waiting for the moment when Doom would attempt to cross from his timeline to theirs. And then the worst happened. One night, a series of explosions rocked the Baxter Building. Alarms sounded throughout the base, and defense systems began to fail one by one. Sue Storm erected a force field around the team, while Ben Grimm prepared for combat. Reed accessed the monitors, trying to understand what was happening. Then he saw it, a temporal rift opening in the New York sky, and a familiar figure emerging from it. Victor Von Doom, the real Doctor Doom, now wearing a suit of armor that combined his mystique with Tony Stark's advanced technology, hovered in midair, staring down at the chaos he had wrought. I told you he would come, muttered Agatha, who had rejoined the group. But now he is more powerful than anything we have ever faced. Doom landed in downtown New York, his shadowy presence casting a literal shadow over the city. Did you think you could stop me? His voice reverberated through the skyscrapers. I am the future. I am destiny. And now, all realities will fall at my feet. The Fantastic Four's attacks began immediately. Ben Grimm charged forward, attempting to bring Doom down with his brutal strength. Johnny Storm transformed into a ball of fire, hurling himself at the villain, while Sue attempted to counter the attacks with her force fields. But Doom was not the same enemy they had faced before. His armor absorbed blows, his magic protected him against energy attacks, and his technology made him faster and deadlier than anyone could have anticipated. Reed, seeing that they were at a disadvantage, shouted to the group, "We need reinforcements. The new Avengers assemble." Knowing that they could not win this battle alone, Reed Richards activated the emergency protocol, sending a distress signal to the Avengers. Although the original Avengers were scattered or inactive, a new generation of heroes had emerged to protect the world. Within hours, the new Avengers arrived on the battlefield. Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, led the team with the help of Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, and Wolverine. Alongside them, other heroes such as Shang-Chi, Kate Bishop, and Yelena Belova were ready to face the threat. Richards, Sam Wilson shouted, landing next to the Fantastic Four. Looks like you could use a hand. We need more than a hand, Reed said. Doom is more powerful than ever. He's controlling Tony Stark's body from another timeline. If we don't stop him now, he'll destroy all realities. With the new Avengers at their side, the fight against Doom began again. But even with the combined might of so many heroes, Doom seemed invincible. He deflected Captain Marvel's blows with ease, nullified Peter Parker's webs with a single gesture, and his mystical shields prevented any direct attack. You're pathetic, Doom sneered. I've transcended what you could ever imagine. You're no longer heroes. You're insects I'll crush under my feet. Reed Richards' plan. As the battle raged on, Reed Richards realized that they couldn't defeat Doom in a direct confrontation. They would need a strategy, something that would exploit the weaknesses of the fusion between Tony Stark and Victor Von Doom. That was when he had an idea. Agatha, Reed shouted as he dodged an energy blast. If Doom is using Stark's body, he must still be connected to the technological core that keeps the armor running, right? Agatha nodded, understanding what Reed was suggesting. Yes, if we can break that connection, he will lose control of his body. But we will need something that can hack into and disable that cybernetic network. Reed looked at Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Peter, I need you to create a device that can hack into Stark's armor. We have to overload his systems from the inside. Peter quickly worked with Reed to create a makeshift device while the rest of the heroes kept Doom occupied. Once the device was ready, Spider-Man launched himself toward Doom, using his agility to avoid the villain's devastating attacks. With a risky maneuver, Peter managed to attach the device to Doom's armor. Now, Reed, he shouted. Reed activated the device remotely, and Doom's armor began to fail. The internal systems began to overload, and Doom fell to his knees, his connection to Stark's body weakening. No, this can't be happening. Doom screamed, trying to regain control. But it was too late. The final judgment. As Doom struggled to maintain control, a final wave of devastating energy emanated from his armor, striking the ground and cracking reality around them. The temporal rift that Doom had used to reach this reality began to expand, threatening to swallow everything. If we do not close this rift, the entire multiverse will be destroyed, Agatha said, her voice thick with urgency. Reed Richards, with the help of Agatha, Sam Wilson, and Peter Parker, worked quickly to find a way to stabilize the temporal rift. Using technology from the Baxter Building combined with Agatha's magic, they managed to create a temporary seal to prevent the collapse. Doom, now helpless and weakened, was finally subdued by Ben Grimm and Wolverine. You may have won today, Doom murmured in a cold voice, but the final judgment is far from over. With Doom defeated and the temporary rift closed, the heroes gathered, exhausted but victorious. Doom's threat has been contained, Reed said. But he was right about one thing. It's not over yet. Agatha nodded grimly. What we face today was just the beginning. The multiverse is in chaos, and there are forces beyond our comprehension moving in the shadows. So what do we do now? Sam Wilson asked, adjusting his shield. Reed looked to the horizon, determined. We prepare, because the real war is yet to come. And with that, the heroes dispersed, knowing that the peace they had achieved was only temporary, and that the future would bring new challenges greater than any of them could have imagined. Then, for now. And that was our story for today. What did you think of all this? Click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Until next time, bye.